Let's ask ourselves, why do the boy and the man have to part at the end of the Boy Robot movie, as Rule 3 says that they have to? Well, in order to understand that, we need to look at how societies work, because humans have had a tendency to organize their societies and cultures according to binaries. It can be all kinds of binaries, as Pierre Bourdieu has shown, but the most common one is the one between male and female. We have the female hemisphere here, and we have the male hemisphere. When children are sorted into this system, both male and female children start in the female hemisphere, so it is the women who care for the children and raise them. Now, for a female child, that person stays in the female hemisphere all the way to the next stage, which is of course the adult. Then the girl becomes a woman. For male children, it works differently, because when they reach puberty, they are handed over to the male hemisphere of society. That's the moment where this thing is not a child anymore, but also not a man, not an adult. So what is it? Well, it is what we call a boy. This means that female persons have two stages in their life, which is child and adult. But males have three stages, which is child, boy, and adult. And as a child, he belongs to the female hemisphere. As a boy, he travels over to the male hemisphere. Why does he do that? Because this is when he will be trained to become a man, and he is trained by the males in society. So in this boy phase, that is when the male coming of age ceremony occurs. This coming of age rite often includes things that are risky or dangerous, or include physical pain. So in a tribe, for example, the boy would have to kill an animal or stuff like that, or endure things. And when he has endured that, he becomes a man. The theory of precarious manhood explains why it is like this. According to this theory, females are whole at the start, so their womanhood is assigned to them. But men, or boys, they have to achieve manhood. Manhood is precarious. So according to this theory, first of all, manhood must be earned, it must be achieved. That's why we have this coming of age rite in the boy stage. But even after having been achieved, manhood is so impermanent, so it can be easily lost or taken away. So manhood must be constantly defended. And the third tenet of this theory is that manhood is confirmed by others and therefore requires public demonstration as proof. This theory explains so much in our current society, right? It explains a lot about why men do the things they do. It explains why it's so important for them to defend their manhood and to commit various acts to that purpose. But anyway, the coming of age rite for the boy, that is when he first achieves something, that is when he first earns his manhood. Then he will spend the rest of his life defending his manhood, but that's not what we're interested in here. The coming of age rite is when he is trained by men in order to become a man himself. And what happens after the coming of age rite, when the boy has become a man, is that he in a way goes back to the female hemisphere of life, because now he will found his own family. So instead of going back to the mother, he goes back to the woman who will become his wife. And in a way, he again then belongs to woman, you could say. And that is why many men look back upon this period of boyhood as the only period in their life when they were truly free. Many cultural phenomena play into this longing, particularly anime in Japan. The cycle that I describe here is not only the cycle of distant tribes, but also of our own society, at least until quite recently. You can see this in phenomena as diverse as the Boy Scouts of America, the Catholic Church, and the films of Sebastian Bleich. And yes, sure, all of them were not perfect, but some were more institutionalized, some were more intuitive. But what all these phenomena show is this desire of boys and men to find each other at this moment of the boy's life. And this cycle of how things are done is very well reflected in these boy-robot movies. We saw in Rule 1 how the boy and the robot, or the boy and the man, meet by chance, and they meet at a certain point of the boy's life, namely when he reaches puberty. That is when he traverses to the male hemisphere of society. That is Rule 1. In Rule 2, the boy and the robot had a lot of fun together, whereby the boy has the power over the robot. This is the coming of age rite. This is the training that the boy gets from the man, and the fun that they have together at the same time. Of course the boy has the power over the man, because the man is there to serve him. The man is there, the man is the one who has a task, and the task is to make a man out of the boy. And Rule 3, that they must part, well, that is natural, because that is after the coming of age rite. The Rule 2, the fun part, has ended. That is when the boy has become a man, and as a man he doesn't need a robot anymore, or he doesn't need a man, he needs a woman. So what will happen now for the new man that the boy has become is that he will found his own family. He will marry a woman, and he will secure the survival of the tribe and the family, basically. So yeah, the boy is handed back to the female hemisphere, but not to the mother, but to his future wife. And that is exactly what we see at the end of Big Hero 6. After this heartbreaking farewell to Baymax, and note that it is Baymax, it is always the man who has to go, because the boy will never let him go. The boy cries a lot, and we cry a lot, and we think that it's all tragic. But what happens right after this farewell is that Hero opens the capsule with the girl that they have saved from space. And look at his face now. This is when he sort of forgets about Baymax, at least for the moment, and realizes that, wow, this is a new step of my life. This is my new task in life now. I will go over to the female hemisphere again, and I will marry a girl. And he's excited about this, because this means that he's a man. And you saw exactly the same ending in Disney's The Jungle Book from 1967. Mowgli thought that he would stay with Baloo forever.
Nothing or nobody is ever gonna come between us again.
But the moment that he lays eyes on the girl, he realizes that this is what I want from now on. I think that this framework can be used to understand why Big Hero 6 and similar films are so popular. Because I think that they tell a story that is now extinct in our society. In our society, instead of handing the boy over to the male hemisphere at puberty, the female hemisphere keeps him. And in the female hemisphere, this person doesn't become a boy. He remains a child. So the female hemisphere keeps him and raises him all the way until he's suddenly an adult. What this means is that what comes out on the other side here is not a man. It is basically an adult child. And I think that many people would agree with me that many men today are basically adult children. This can explain so much. They have been deprived of their period in the boy phase. They have been deprived of their training in the male hemisphere. They have been deprived of their boyhood, basically. The boy is extinct in our society. And this can explain so much, from sexual harassment to gang violence to school shootings. These perpetrators are not men, they are adult children. They needed a man, but they didn't get a man. And why not? Well, because we have basically disqualified this kind of relation. With good intentions, of course, but we have thrown out the baby with the bathwater. We have thrown out the boy, and now we're suffering the consequences for it. Of course, this is my way of analyzing things and saying things, but the thing is that I think that most people agree with me. Most people think that something is wrong in our current society. It's just that they don't know exactly what it is. They might look at the symptoms and say that the symptoms are bad, but they don't know what the source is. I think that the success of Big Hero 6 and similar movies is because they tap into this insecurity. because what they do is that they provide a thinly veiled version of how things should be. They provide the solution that we didn't even know we were looking for, and that is what makes them so satisfying to watch.